Welcome, truth seekers and trailblazers, to the Bigfoot, Wildman and Boogers Show, the podcast where shadows move, legends breathe, and Bigfoot might be closer than what you think. Every week, we trek deep into the unknown, diving into eyewitness accounts, breaking down the evidence, and exploring the mysteries behind North America's most exclusive cryptid.
We're here to bring you real encounters, all the wild, weird, and wonderful things that go along with Bigfoot, Wildmen, and Boogers. Whether you're a diehard believer, backyard camper, or just here for fun, we're glad you're here with us.
Before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us grow the tribe and bring even more wild encounters out of the woods and into your ears. Now grab your gear. Steady your nerves. Let's take that first step into the woods with Richard Stewart Taylor tonight.
Yay,
Hello.
Richard.
There he is. Yay.
Woo.
Hey, Richard.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, thank you for coming. And we enjoy you immensely.
It takes so much effort for me to share. I really got to get over the.
I know you're so shy.
I
Stop
know.
being shy.
I know. So
Yeah.
introverted and everything, but yeah, it's a passion.
I understand.
I never forget the hunger for information after I had my first "what in the world was it" moment, and contemplated the possibility of something living out there that I had never seen or experienced,
So after that first one and you're wanting to get information, where'd you go, Richard? What did you look into to figure out what you were dealing with?
Well, there's two things that I knew. Being an outdoorsman, there's no animal on North America that has an articulating shoulder and an opposing digit where they could grip something and throw it. Well, I'm talking cinder block size, like a football in an arch towards us. That is not possible with any animal out there that I knew of, as far as bear and big cats, coyotes. I mean, it was way out of the realm. You have to have an articulating shoulder and a thumb. And it came from over 100 feet away. I told that story to a lot of people, and you get kind of the head nod and somebody saying, that's strange, but it happened. I didn't imagine it. So I had a hunger probably for a year or two. I told the story where I got my first clue. I was on the internet, just panning and scanning different stuff, surfing the internet.
Yeah.
And I saw a thread that said fishermen attacked at night, which bingo. I mean, that really pulled a string there. So I double clicked. It took me to the BFRO website and their reporting system. And my jaw dropped when I started reading these documented accounts, very well documented systematically, of Bigfoot sightings. And this particular story came out of Possum Kingdom Lake, which is probably 100 miles west of the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. So very close in North Texas. And I read it. My jaw dropped. They had multiple rocks thrown at them, these fishermen, and they had dung smeared on their vehicles. So they kind of aggravated somebody. None of them were hurt, but they
got known. You need to go away.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't know what they were doing other than fishing, but it was so similar. Reluctantly, I didn't expect much. I filled out one of the sighting forms of where it occurred, what happened. And about 3 or 4 days later, a man calls, identifies himself as a BFRO investigator, and would like to talk with me, which first of all surprised me. I thought fat chance anybody's gonna, call back. And it really surprised me. But while I was talking to him on the phone, me having come from a background of public safety, law enforcement, I could hear public safety traffic, radio traffic in the background, not in the room, but close enough that I could hear over the phone. It may be a room away, and all of a sudden I just point blank asked him, I said, are you law enforcement? And of course there's a bit of a pause there. And he goes, well, yes. He said, why do you ask that? I said, well, I'm hearing the radio traffic in the background. And then he kind of chuckled. He says, yeah, I'm on my lunch break and the dispatch is next door. And the door. I'm hearing their dispatchers and all the radio traffic. Subtly, it wasn't, overpowering, but I picked it up in the background. And that
it was a familiar to you.
Yes. And that in and of itself, knowing he was active, in public safety law enforcement, immediately dinged me with credibility. Right. This guy's not some, loose cannon.
Some hack that's just
exactly
in his basement, with a light and a pen and a notebook.
Exactly.
And his tinfoil hat.
And his hat and
exactly.
And his list.
Waiting for another Hellbach comment to come and go drink.
Right.
Sure, that adds instant credibility.
Yes.
It is.
Absolutely.
And he went on to say, yes, we have reports from other fishermen in that waterway. And my mind is just, you got to be kidding me. Bigfoot in North Texas. Now, maybe up in the Pacific Northwest or something.
Right.
But the thought at that time of, I'm talking 25, 30 miles from downtown Dallas. And my mind just had a hard time wrapping around. And I even went to some Bigfoot conferences and some experts. They dissed it. They said, oh, that's way too close to a major metropolitan area for that to be Bigfoot. And they dismissed it. And I looked them dead in the eye, I said, I respect your opinion. You've got a right to it, but I know what I experienced and saw. And, I was hungry for answers at that point. And I went out with this individual. We were in areas that, look, ladies, it's not a place somebody is just hanging out. It takes effort to get in there. There's not much to see. It's very remote. Nobody knew we were going in there, but we were followed. We were paralleled. Got a horrible scent at one point. Heard branches breaking and stuff thrown at us. Now, I experienced stuff that I'm thinking in my mind, number one, there shouldn't be anybody back here. Okay. There's thick foliage, there's snakes, there's ticks, there's chiggers.
It's not a fun place.
It's not, there's nothing to see.
Why would you come here?
Exactly. There's nothing to see back in there. Very remote. River bottom, no development.
No trail, no.
Well, there was a water line right of way,
No, but it wasn't like a bike trail or a walking path or like a hiking path or anything.
Absolutely. And it's got its fair share of hog population.
Oh. Ooh.
And to go in there in those bottoms, you run the risk. Back in there, I've jumped several hogs. Now, I wasn't attacked, but I'll tell you, I was lucky. I was prepared to defend myself. I mean, in that same area, I was attacked by not one, not two, but 3 feral pit bulls that were running.
Oh, geez.
And ladies, I can tell you right now, if I hadn't had my Colt Series 80 45 with me, I wouldn't be talking to both of you now. They may not have never found me back in there,
Right. Well,
I was by myself. So being honorably retired, I'm not one of the bad guys, and I can legally defend myself
Yep.
in the U.S. I'll leave it at that.
Right.
And
Exactly.
I just you need to. It's not Disneyland out there.
Nope.
What injured and killed the settlers 100, 200 years ago still lives out there. And I can truthfully say this. I've read a lot of horror stories or creepy stories. Not once have I ever felt threatened by the big guys.
No, it's sometimes it's the other stuff. It's not him, you know, or it's for us up here. It's you know, our local feral population of meth heads.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. They don't take prisoners. They'll
No.
they'll do away with you and bury you in a heartbeat. And,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's probably one of the biggest threats. I'll go into, in my 20 plus years of research, I've never come across a dog man, and I hope and pray I never do. But I've heard enough substance and stories, and even in native, history and stuff, there's something to it. I don't want to ever see it.
Oh, I heard the howl just recently, and it gave me the creepies on the back of my neck.
Yeah,
Wow.
we did a show last night with DA, and they have a howl that was recorded out of South Carolina, right? Is that
South or north? One of
I think
them.
it's South Carolina, and it's definitely different, you know. So with
Very
that,
wolfy,
Richard, what's your thoughts about Dogman? I mean, do you think it's possible? Is it misidentification? What do you think?
Me personally, I believe there's a spiritual connection with the big guys. I'm not a religious man. I'm a spiritual man, but I do read the word, you know, for myself.
Yeah.
And it's clear in Genesis chapter 6 that a hybrid human was produced by the bonding of the spiritual hosts, heavenly hosts, and earthly women. And you read about it through the Old Testament, the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, Goliath coming from that. I believe personally the big guys are stuck in the middle. They're half human and they're half spiritual entity. Now, some people say, oh, they're demons. You don't want anything to do with them. Look, folks, we're stuck in the middle ourselves. We've got good and evil in our nature. Okay.
Exactly.
We're
One
not inherently evil
without the other.
Exactly. You know? And I've talked to two people personally that were saved from certain death by they didn't even know they were there. One guy was 12 years old as a Boy Scout. They had taken him, and a friend of his had snuck away from the day class, got in the canoe and got out in the river in a rough area of the rapids where they had no business to be.
No business to go.
Right. And they got swept downstream, and he got knocked out, not wearing a life, vest.
Right.
And he battled the rapids and went down it several times, and was about ready to, drown. And he felt something grab his ankle and yanked him. And as he was being yanked up out of the water from underwater, he remembers seeing his buddy, because his buddy in the canoe was trying to get to him.
Oh,
his buddy in the canoe is like just terrified. That he just remembers seeing his buddy screaming, terrified, and then he passed out. And the next thing he recalls is he's draped over what he thought was a bear. Okay, it was hairy. He was kind of dead man style over the shoulder of this thing, carrying him. He wasn't riding it like it was a horse,
right. No, he was being carried.
It was upright, and it was carrying him over his shoulder.
Yeah.
But he noticed instead of paws, they were foot pads. As the foot would come up, it had, it had hair around it, but
Toes
the pad itself looked human, and it really kind of freaked him out, and he kind of went in and out of consciousness.
Yeah.
Was in some type of shelter. He remembers warmth and air being fanned over him, drying him off. And the next thing he knows, he's along a trail. He hears the scoutmaster and everybody calling his name, and they get up to him, and he yells back. He's kind of coming to on the trail, and they get close to him, and they go, "P, you stink! Where have you been? But
where you been? What have you been doing, buddy?" Yeah,
exactly. Now, me personally, I found the stick structures, and everybody here, probably, or a lot of people listening, they're dome-like, they're interwoven, and they look kind of like an igloo, or some type of dome structure. I've talked with people and I've looked at them, and to me, in the summer, they form the structures. I've seen them up north. I've seen them in Texas. They put pine boughs over them and stuff. It's not airtight, but it's a wind blocker.
Sure.
And in the middle, they will churn up the dirt in the summer. They'll bring vegetation in, grind it up, and they'll defecate and urinate on it and mix it in with the soil. Yeah. And they'll get a compost pile going in the summer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The decomposing waste and vegetation's all organic. Once that bacteria sets up, its respirations produce heat. Okay, I don't know if you've had compost pile before.
Yeah.
They're very warm.
Yes, they are.
When the winter comes, they'll throw fresh branches over that compost pile
to insulate the worm.
Well, it'll so they don't wallow in their waste. Okay.
Yeah.
But they can't make it airtight because it'll smother, because the compost pile needs oxygen.
It needs air.
Okay?
Yeah.
But they'll make a pad, and then in the winter, and especially in snow will build up on the branches outside. They'll get a windbreak there, and they'll sleep on top of those pine boughs. And the convected heat off of that compost pile is kind of like an electric blanket. They're not getting the severe wind and chill factor that's being broken, and it's a kind of a crawl-in shelter for them. And that's where probably some of the stink comes from too. But
well, yeah, definitely.
They are hunters and gatherers. Okay. I've heard a lot of very educated people make statements that there's just not enough food source in this area of the woods to support something that big. Okay. The truth of the matter is, several hundred years ago, when the native nations lived in the same area without a Walmart or anything, they supported hundreds, if not thousands, of Native Americans in the same area where these experts say that there's not enough food source. And it's still there. I mean, you have deadfall that have beetles that set up in these fallen logs. You've got to dig for them, but they're there. You've got even bark on certain trees. I think it's the Algonquin is translated bark eaters. There's a liniment layer that, if you got to get down to it, but it has a lot. It's sweet. I mean, there's a lot of caloric value there. On waterways here in Texas, I've posted some of my drone videos. I was out on the north end of Lake Ray Hubbard, where fishermen were. It was a peninsula there. And I was just sitting in a folding chair. I wasn't fishing, but I was looking out over this inlet. And I noticed it was about 2 or 3 in the morning, January, probably 40 degrees. It looked to me like 2 wade fishermen out there. Okay.
Mm.
In the
Yeah.
middle of the night, okay, in mud flats, where I'm thinking these guys got to be crazy, because one of them would disappear like he went underwater and then he would come up, and I'm looking at it through night vision. I'm
Yeah.
thinking that guy is desperate. Well, long story short, that area and a lot of other areas in Texas, that freshwater mussels are
Yeah.
one of their protein
Oh,
sources.
sure.
I found their tracks, and I found the split open mussel shells. Now, I've heard freshwater mussels don't taste good, but to them, they've got a stomach. They got
Yeah.
a digestion. And where I had my first sighting, below Lake Lavon Dam, I know some people are going, "What?" But that's where in Collin County, Texas. And the subject I saw was white or light gray, but go figure. Look at my hair,
Yeah. Right.
turning gray.
Yeah.
The guys with me at the time, they were a little incredulous, but respectful. They weren't disrespectful. They said, "Bigfoot aren't white." Now that you got to go back, this was 20 something years ago when light colored was occasional, but people dissed it. And then more and more white Bigfoot reports came out, and people started changing their way of thinking. And one of the main things, if you're truly following the scientific methods, you gather information, you form a hypothesis, you test that hypothesis. If something doesn't fit, you gather more information.
Right.
You don't
That's right.
reach final conclusions or let expectation bias enter in. And it's frustrating to me that some people they're abrupt. And I'm going to tell
Cut
you
and dry.
and you two know this. I don't have all the answers. I've got more questions than answers.
That's the truth. We all do at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get out there and things happen, and you're going, "What?"
Wait. Wait a minute. Yeah.
They are very complex, very intuitive, extremely agile. Some of them. I mean, I'm sure you've got slow ones and you've got fast
Oh,
ones.
I'm sure as they age, they slow down. But just like you and I both know, that one snuck up on us on that gravel bar,
Yeah.
and we didn't know it was there. I mean, if you hadn't have turned around and started to film, I doubt we ever would have known that one was within 20 feet of us.
Exactly. I mean, and my first, I didn't want to vocalize because they understand very well. Well, even in that video later, Marianne, that I posted, where Drew is next to me, and I whisper to Drew, I say, "They're behind us. There's one behind us." And then you see out of my thermal and audio that one cutting out in the brush. They were watching until I verbalized there's one there, and they were booking it at that time. I don't know if it's a badge of dishonor. I know they like to see how close they can creep up to you.
Yeah.
And the only reason I felt them, okay, and Marianne, I can't turn it on and off, but when it comes on me, I know I'm being watched, and not always, but a lot of the time, I can tell you where it's coming from, okay? Directionally. I don't have any answers. I don't understand it, but I was sitting there and I felt I was being watched. And then when I'm looking over here, I can feel I could feel you watching me, And
I know to watch you.
I didn't want to verbalize but when I looked over my shoulder, I saw one eye shine, one eye glow.
Yeah.
And some of your listeners may not. They say it's reflection. No, you've got to have ambient light to reflect. And we were out there in near pitch dark. You know how dark it was.
Yeah.
And
there's no external light out there.
Exactly. There was nothing to reflect, but I saw in that vegetation, I saw one glow. And then when I looked right at it, it disappeared. So he was peeking out, and then he withdrew around that stump that he was laying by.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, and then a little later, it was back there again. That's when I got my FLIR. And I use the Scout TK. It's one of the less expensive FLIRs. And the reason I use it is it naturally filters out the minute details of limbs and branches. It doesn't pick up that minor stuff. It filters it out. And that subject stood out like a sore thumb, whereas a more expensive FLIR, I'd have been looking at the leaves and branches too. And that's why I use it's only, you can get them, I think they're under $500 now. They're one of the best buys that, and I've looked and I've used more expensive FLIRs. I prefer the Scout TK. One, you can take pictures and videos with it. Some of your more expensive, you can't do that. And if you do lose it or break it, you're not out several $1,000s. Not that I want to lose, not that I want to spend $500 or $600, every time I go out, but it's expensive. I mean, it's inexpensive and it's very well. But that subject there, I did not want to tell it. I mean, Lou was right there. I've got him. I'm taking videos of Lou and then looking at that subject. They like to watch. They're extremely well.
Very curious.
In your account with that group, there was one standing there amongst everybody just watching. And they knew that you weren't, now maybe they picked it up that you were seeing something, but everybody else there was oblivious to the big guy just standing there watching, blending in.
Yeah. Well, and like that, like I said, we think it's a young one. We don't know if we walked in and it stayed put or if it is followed in with us and sat down, but I mean, I think that was a game of let's see how close we can get, and it was right with us. I mean, the closest person to it was probably 7 or 8 feet from it.
Exactly. Exactly. I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, and the other one, I think that was Mama. I think she was just watching it to make sure, that everything was okay. When it did jump up and leave, that's, when she stepped out and made herself known so that we would pay attention to her, and not be trying to follow it off into the woods.
Exactly. Exactly. I was in southeast Oklahoma, near Honobie or Hanobi, however you want to pronounce it. And I was with 2 very experienced people that would not make a big deal about anything. We were by the campfire, and it's probably one of the most active times I've ever had with them throwing stuff. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I get around newbies and I'll warn them. I say, do not make abrupt moves any direction fast, because you may walk into something that's already been thrown. They may not be intending to hit you, but I've been out enough to know how close they place stuff. Okay. And if you all of a sudden jump, they might have already launched something and you'll walk right into it. In that same area, I had 2 guys resting against, they were newbies with me, against an oak tree, probably 3 feet in diameter, good size oak tree with them sitting, one of them was sitting on a root knot on one side and the other guy was just leaning against it. And I want to say about a 10-inch broken piece of limb, maybe 3 or 4 inches in diameter, smacked that tree right between the 2 guys. And I'm not talking, it was, I've got an audio of it. It smacked the side of that tree. And I still can't figure out how they launched it through all that foliage and the canopy without hitting leaves, because we didn't hear anything coming through the trees. It just smacked that tree and was spinning on the ground when I looked at it with my thermal, and one guy freaked out, but in that same, having that big of an object, they can hit you in a heartbeat if they wanted to, if anybody has ideas about taking one out and getting the bounty or $1 million, whoever's offering that, you don't know who else is out there with them. And I dare say if you killed one of their family members, you're probably not getting out of that woods alive. And you think a rifle's going to protect you, that 100-mile-an-hour fastball upside the head will come from out of nowhere. And I think they can put you down in a heartbeat if they.
Oh, I think so.
But fortunately, they're very benevolent. They just want to, kind of be left alone. I think the style that we have camping and taking walks and stuff, we're not out there hurting them.
Yeah.
We're not trying to run them down. We're letting them approach us. And our last trip there to the private land area, Marianne, you knew about Ed and his episode sleeping in the tent there. I don't know. He felt like something was like touching him or poking him through the tent. Well, it pushed him through the tarp and then was slapping the air mattress he was sleeping on. And I'm like 3 or 4 or 5 feet over, in another on my bed and sleeping.
Probably wondering what is that.
I woke up with him screaming, "Stop it! Stop it!" I'm hearing this. I'm thinking he's over there wrestling or fighting somebody,
a snake or a bee or something.
Well, yeah, and then it all went silent, and I go, "You okay, Ed?"
Now he's dead.
Well, he's got earplugs. He sleeps with earplugs. Okay.
Okay.
He didn't say anything. He just laid back down and went right to sleep. And I'm thinking, man, this guy has some very vivid dreams. Until the next morning, I said, man, he said, I'm not so sure I dreamt it. And then he described it to me. And, we talked about it back and forth. I said, well, you were awful loud. I'm sure other people in the camp heard, and putting everything up. I used that same air mattress. I I'd loaned it to him.
Yeah.
My granddaughters come over and they don't like sleeping in the guest. Well, this is it. My office in our third bedroom. They like to sleep in the living room. They like to camp, make little tents, put tables up, And so we use air mattresses. I blew them both up, and my wife come in. She said, babe, one of them's not holding air. I said, really? So I pumped it back up, and it started going down. So I took it outside to look at it real close. There's fingernail marks all the way down, about 4 feet down the air mattress, and one of them gouged it deep enough to make a hole.
Wow.
Yeah. So they just were pranking around, which they do. At that same southeast Oklahoma area, we had them throwing stuff for the better part of an hour. Never were hit, but we would figure where it was coming from. And I got a couple video shots or thermal shots. One of them's up in a tree watching us through the fork of the tree. He's blending in. I called him the fire control officer, and one side peeker and everything. And we were just chilling out, and we'd figure, that one came from over that way. And the moment we kind of got an area, they would come either 180 from the other side of the camp or 90 degrees. It was they were playing a game, bantering with us. Guess where we are, where that one came from.
Yeah.
And one guy got up, he was collecting the stuff. And I apologize. My hay fever is just
you're fine. You're fine.
It's the season.
Yes. So he got up from his camp chair, and I'm standing behind him with my thermal. I wasn't sitting in my chair. And he starts walking over to where this piece of bark rolled into camp near the fire. And he just was joking with them. He said, can't you guys throw this any closer so I don't have to get up, pick it up? And ladies, within 5 seconds, I'm standing behind his folding camp chair. I hear the thud. And I look forward down in his camp chair, there's a quarter-size rock right on the seat cushion. Didn't bounce out. They placed that in his chair. Bantering and joking back as a reply to what he had just stated. That's not a dumb animal.
No, it's not.
That's something that has humor, intellect, and cognitive thinking. And that's my experience with them. I had them answer me in Cherokee. My grandmother was full blood Cherokee. Grandfather was mixed blood. I'm very proud of my native lineage. I'm equally proud of the Scots, Irish, Dutch, and German that I have.
We could be related. Those are all of my things too. Those are all of my things.
Exactly. It's who I am. I can't be anybody but me, but I hold an extra special feeling for Kentucky, the KBRO, and when they have their that's the native land of the Cherokees.
Yes, it is.
And one of the stories the elders, historians pass down is the Uni Udawahi. Okay. Basically, roughly translated forest beings of the lost or forgotten tribe. They didn't equate them to an animal. And most of your native nations, or all of them, do not equate them to an animal, but a tribe or a nation of people. It's in their totem figures. It's in their cave. Go back thousands of years, long before finding Bigfoot ever came around.
Oh, right. Exactly.
I've always wanted to, if the Cherokee, what they would do, it was they'd leave edible roots and berries around the perimeter of their village. And in turn, the big guys would watch over them during hunting and gathering endeavors. A symbiote relationship, not predatory, but a friendship, And in turn, the big guys would watch over the Cherokees when they hunt during the hunting and gathering. So we're not talking, spooky stories. We're talking about the big guys watching over them. And by the way, you can read several stories of where injured Indians were taken care of by snake bitten chief was taken care of. In modern day times, there's been lost children, and they could not find them, and then they suddenly appear back in the camp, and the rescuers said, "How'd you get back here?" And they said, "The cowman, the hairy cowman, or who, the bear brought
the bear." Yeah, they'll say the bear brought me. Yeah,
exactly. And they're very benevolent and everything. I wouldn't want to antagonize one, but anyway.
No, yeah, I think that's where people get in trouble is, they are antagonizing them. And when they finally do, they've had enough of it, then that's when you get those encounters that are, a little more violent because.
But it's because people are fearful. And trust me, you see one and have them up close, it's very intense. I've seen them enough that I'm probably not as spooky or intense as I used to be. And I'm not saying that bragging. I've had my class A and close encounters with them, and they've never threatened me. But I don't want one sneaking up and touching me either without me knowing they're there. I don't know if I've ever shown you the Wisconsin video. I'm going down a trail, and there's a belly crawler across the road behind the Jeep. I'm going to get a closer look. At first I didn't know what it was. And there's movement on each side of me. In my night vision, I keep doing this because I don't want one sneaking up and touching me because I didn't have an extra pair of drawers with me.
Code brown.
Yeah, exactly. I had great. I had skid marks, man.
Skid marks all the way down back to
exactly down my leg.
Out of here.
We were in Kentucky. We were watching one. I was watching one at first. I'd slipped away. I had the same feeling, directional feeling, and we were with Charlie Raymond and about 8 or 10 other people. Lou was there doing some great guitar work, and I just eased away, using the red game cap light. I found a tall, upright figure down by the river. They didn't break foliage, but there was enough bleed through of their thermal signature. I could tell they were upright. I could see their body and their head. The next day I went out there where I saw the fork in the tree, and that head was 8 to 10 feet tall. Okay. And walking on two legs, and they were moving, and there was like a second one there, possibly a third, but it was thick foliage, but they were watching us.
Yeah.
And so one of the paranormal researcher there came over. It was his first Bigfoot expedition. And he goes, Rick, what are you doing? I said, I'm watching the big guy down by the river. He goes, really, man, I'd love to. I say, hey, come here. I get him next to me. I give him my scope. I say, 10 o'clock position across the field down there in that line of trees by the river. And he's quiet for about a minute. And I finally have to ask him, I said, do you see him? He said, yeah, he's peeking around the tree looking at us,
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Marianne, that and Jen, that made my whole trip worth it. When I share something and somebody is getting that aha moment, it means the world to me. I mean, I love that. And so he's watching the big guy. Well, we get one flanking us. There was a little creek that came up off the main river, and about 200 feet over, I could hear the subtle crackling and shifting of leaves and stuff, but too thick to see anything, Right. And so the big guy's down there. Well, if the Cherokee had a symbiont, leaving stuff out thousands of years before the white European drove them out, the white European settlers and the U.S. government.
Right.
It only stands to reason that in order to trade or have a relationship, they would have had to have communicated. Okay. And I've got one video of one speaking Choctaw, and I asked him, I said, I asked him in Cherokee, come closer, let's be friends. And the guy, the paranormal researcher, I said, did he do anything? He said, no. So then I asked him their name. I said it loud enough for either individual to hear, the one across the field or the one here. And it was Gutta Uste, Dejado. What is your name? And I said, did they do anything? He said, no, they're just looking. So I said it more expressively. I said, Gutta Uste, Dejado, what is your name? And the second time I asked that question, over there where that subtle noise was, a big bullfrog deep voice goes, blah. That's no in Cherokee. Okay?
I'm not telling you my name.
Oh my God.
Exactly. No, I'm not telling you my name. But they said a real emphatic no.
Yeah.
Maybe he was telling the other one, no, don't tell him. Or
no, don't tell him your name. Yeah.
Right.
I got a cognizant reply. Again, that's not a dumb animal. That's something with reasoning and cognitive
intelligent being.
Exactly.
I've always felt that they were kind of like earth guardians, nature guard. I don't know, guardians of.
Well, a lot of people,
the woods.
Exactly. They're watchers for one. I mean, that's another term that you can even go to the Bible. It talks about the watchers. I just know they do things that are, and I keep a lot of the paranormal stuff close to me. I don't share those cards all the time because, number one, people that don't believe or they think Bigfoot could exist, they don't want to hear any woo. And you'll even hear serious researchers, if you go into the woo factor, they're cutting you off. They're not hearing it. I think it's very refreshing, though, that there are certain people well known that wouldn't even consider orbs.
Yes.
And other light things that happen. They're mentioning that now, which is refreshing to me. They finally look, dude, you're getting witnesses. And Marianne, when we were there, the one that snuck up behind us, they were giving us an orb show over there on the other side of the creek that we were all and interested in that. I did get one up there that was belly crawling on they weren't presenting themselves, but I could see them going through the on one of the ledges over there. But that was before I got the other one closer to us. But they do that all the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's refreshing to me. I don't understand cloaking. I've experienced it several times where I saw the leaves move. I heard the footsteps, but I did not see a thing. Okay. And
Yeah.
the researcher with me broke and ran. I thought he was going in the cabin to get a camera until I heard the door slam shut and the lock.
Wow.
He locked. He abandoned me.
He left you
let me out
alone.
there by myself. And
Yeah. You're like, thanks.
I mean, I had backup.
That's funny. That's funny.
But I was with 5, and I don't know. I've posted this too, where I'm standing in thick river bottom. I've got these 5 newbies with me that are like sky high, emotionally fearful or intense.
Looking for anything, just
yeah.
And I hear the footsteps right about 20 feet in front of us. I'm thinking, man, I am going to get a great thermal. And I click it on, and I'm right looking, in the dark, right where this subject is. And I catch just a faint light outline moving from my right to left. And you can hear the crunch. You can hear the feet. I mean, the footsteps.
Yeah.
And you hear me kind of, say there's something there. But it was freaking me out how that it could cloak itself from the thermal. Okay. And I don't understand that. I don't understand the fast movement. They'll trot along. You'll have videos of them moving through the vegetation at normal speed. But I was in Kentucky, central Kentucky, and one of the guys with us had gone down to this little ravine, and I've got him on thermal.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he gets spooked. It was Don what's his last? Bigfoot Neil. Don Neil, I guess. I know his I'm having a senior moment, but
that's all right.
He was down there, and one startled him because he spooked one, and it took off, and he came back. Well, it angled around behind this building, and I went over there, and I got it might have been the same one side peeking. Then I came back to the group, and there were 2 out in the field there, and Don took out there to get a closer look. They were behind a pine tree. You couldn't see their upper torso, but probably from mid-waist down, you could see their legs, okay?
Yeah.
And their hips. But the tree was that high, you could only see half of them. And at some point, when Don got close enough, they took off. And on my night vision, it is a literal blur, okay? It's just and they were gone. I mean, one and then the other. The next year we camped out there, and I flew my drone over there, and I identified the tree and I identified the foliage line. I went out there and I walked it, paced it off. I got a very reliable approximate distance. And then I went back to my thermal video, which takes 9 frames per second, and I counted the frames. So I got a time frame of the distance they covered, okay, time and distance from a dead stop. They were still 1 second and then gone the next. They averaged 45 miles an hour from a dead stop.
Wow.
Until they hit the foliage line and disappeared. I'm going to tell you right now, ladies, that isn't close to being humanly possible.
And they're fairly silent too when they do it, right?
Oh yeah,
exactly.
They can be. Yes.
That I've sent you that picture of the one that raced by me in my front yard.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a bird because, number one, I didn't hear any footsteps. but I heard the whoosh and I felt the wind as they went. But they were slapping distance away from me. I mean, they could have reached out and slapped the fire out of me as they went by, which they didn't. I thought it was a bird until I looked on my game cam that I had placed over the front there. And my wife's similar to your husband, Marion. She's never seen one. Okay.
Right.
She's not a doubter, but she's in a position that when she sees one, she'll know for sure they exist, but she does know her husband's not a liar. But
right.
There was weird.
I'm that way too. I haven't really seen one yet, but Marianne's not a liar.
Exactly. There's an interest there. And I don't know why. I've been fortunate enough to see him on multiple occasions. I don't know if native bloodline has something to do with it. I don't know. I just
be your
know,
approach, the way you revere them, and they know that,
Yeah.
I respect
it's one of
them,
ours.
Exactly.
and I show him respect. I consider him a tribal brother, different than me, but a tribal connection. Now, having said that, if I ever got a DNA test, there's a history of the Bigfoot kidnapping squaws and them having children in the process. There may be a little bit of Bigfoot DNA in my native.
Is that what that unknown was when I got my 23andMe back?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Exactly. If theirs is close to us, I mean, there's so many native stories where the children were hairy. They were excellent hunters. They ran. I mean, go on and on and on. And then they marry and it dilutes down and it's less predominant. But I mean, the gene pool
recessive and
exactly. I mean, that's one possibility. I just they're amazing. They're really amazing. They're very intuitive. And I've got another story it's funny. Beaver's Bend, Oklahoma. It's a nice camping, it's a park. It's very squatchy. I've been there numerous times with my daughter-in-law's side of the family. They invited my wife and I, Jane, up there for a weekend, long weekend. And we'd gone several times. And on this one trip up there, it was daytime. I'm down by the river there. And I'm looking up at this steep hill. And trust me, getting to the top of that thing would have been effort. It was steep, not impossible, but dangerous and very hard to get up there. And I'm seeing three figures up under the tree in the shade, looking down at us, camp across the river there. Yep. And one guy comes back there and he knew I was a Bigfoot researcher. And he goes, "Well, are you seeing anything?" I said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact." I said, "Look up there on the hill across the river." And it kind of freaked him out a little bit because there's some people don't want to wrap their mind around the possibility.
That's true.
I could tell it really affected him. Well, that evening, I think it was the last night there, we had some family stuff in the cafeteria and good dinner and everything. And it was nighttime, so everybody was around the campfire in the central part of the camp. And there was probably 35, 40 people. I'm in a big group. It was fun. People are, laughing, telling jokes, and just good fun time. And in good taste, one of the kind of leaders of the family looked over and said, "Hey, Rick, how's your Bigfoot research going?" And about half of the people kind of got quiet. And I'm sure y'all know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
All looking at me like,
"Oh, yeah.
What? Because I didn't talk about it much. And so I've got all these 35, 40 eyes looking at me. And I said, "Well, as a matter of fact," I said, "I think I saw some across the river, today." And I said, "This place is a very active place for Bigfoot. And ladies, okay, while I'm saying this, it sounds like a rhinoceros is coming through the woods for our camp. Okay. I mean, imagine me talking about that. And there were a couple people jumped up and were going to run. And then it all ended in a loud crash and it got silent. And there's guys jumping up. Whoa, what was that? And they're grabbing flashlights and they're taking off the direction of the noise. Okay. There was no wind. Okay. No wind. Nothing to cause this. A huge oak tree that was healthy. We're not talking rotten or dying. It was a healthy oak tree is split, the two main splits right down the middle to the ground level on that trunk. That oak tree split in two while I'm talking about Bigfoot being around there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, they never asked me back to another family.
They're like, nope, he's out.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
God. Oh my gosh. That's good. That's a good story, Richard. So we're coming up on our hour here, but I tell you what, Richard, I got a little bit of advice for you here. Okay. Never trust a raccoon with glowing eyes.
Yikes. No.
No.
I'll tell you though, I've seen eye shine glowing red, looks like two smoldering cigarettes that blink. I've seen it in aqua blue. I've seen it in amber, like these sun, these glasses. I wear these because they're polarized, and I've got a floater issue. And it seems like when I wear polarized glasses, it reduces the annoyance of floaters. And I may have to get that treatment where they go in and zap them all.
Yeah.
It's livable with me now.
Yeah, it's part of it. Yeah.
Exactly. But now I forgot where I was headed with that.
That's all right. We're about out of time. So, we really appreciate you coming on and sharing, and we'll have you back because you just are always a plethora of knowledge, Absolutely. So you definitely will be coming back to see us another time. So
and I'm so looking forward to next month in Arkansas.
Oh, yes.
I've never been there. I mean, this is going to be new area for me. But
new area for all of us. It's new area for all of us. So yes.
Are you going to be there, Jen? Are you going to be there?
Unfortunately, no, I'm not. I'm probably not going to be around until spring.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
We'll get her out there at some point in time. But like I said, we're so grateful for you to come on tonight and do this with us, and we'll have you back at another time.
Anytime.
Yes. You, like I said, you're a wealth of knowledge. So with that being said, okay, tribe, that's all for this episode of the Bigfoot, Wildman, and Boogers show. Thank you for wandering the woods of Missouri with us today.
If you enjoyed today's encounter and want to keep these legends alive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us keep track of the wild and legendary encounters that make this place so special.
We'll be back soon with more mysteries, more encounters, and maybe a few surprises hidden in the shadows. Until then, keep your boots muddy, your eyes on the tree line, and remember, show me your Bigfoot.